He is recording.
Okay. Alright, I'm back for yet another 2 fight cards from the UFC. I have Chris with me because I'm doing 2 fight cards.
Otherwise known as Northern Bloodlust on YouTube, thank you.
Yes. Alright,
we're
going to start on the Ultimate Fight Night that's on this Tuesday on Spike TV, free TV, always good. We have, the main event is Sam Hands of Stout. Hands of Stone, pardon. He's from Canada, so of course I'm cheering for him. And against Spencer the King Fisher. These two have met before. Sam won, but it was a bit of a sort of a weird one because Spencer was a very, very late replacement for Kenny Florian in the fight. So he had to cut weight like really quickly because he'd been fighting at a higher weight class. Both are coming off from losses. Sam Stout got subbed by the aforementioned Kenny Florian, and Spencer Fisher got TKO'd by Hermes Franca, who will be fighting for the lightweight title, UFC 73, I think. Pick.
Well, you said they've met before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm not too familiar with either fighter, because I mostly watch the pay-per-view with like you guys at home and at the bar and stuff. But like, that sort of seems like an all-around, like a fairly decent fighter.
Okay. Well, I'm taking Spencer Fisher, but I would not be surprised to see Sam Stout win. So it could go either way. Next, we have Ron Carneiro versus one of the top welterweights in the UFC right now, John Fitch of the American Kickboxing Academy. Both guys coming off of wins over Rich Clemente and Luigi Fioravanti, respectively. Ron, I haven't seen a lot of his stand-up. Seems to have good wrestling, good ground game. John Fitch is a wrestler primarily and has a good ground game. So, I don't know. If John wins this fight, he moves pretty... Gotta think getting into title contention. He's 5-0 in the UFC, so... This would be like 6 wins in a row, so... A pick.
Well, they both have... You said they both have good ground game, so...
That is their primary discipline.
Mm-hmm. You haven't seen much of Ron Carneiro's game?
Haven't seen much of... Well, he's only had 1 fight in the UFC. And it was against Rich Clemente, and that doesn't really tell me much, because Clemente's just a journeyman.
Also, I'm not sure. They seem... If they get on the ground, it would probably be pretty even matched.
Pretty even.
I'm not sure with this one, honestly.
Well, this is a tough one. The standing, I think, goes to John Fitch, just because he's taller. That's superior reach.
And also, he's got a heck of a lot more wins over Ron.
Yeah, Ron's 11-5, and Fitch is 8-2-1. Fitch has got some pretty big wins. He's beat Josh Berkman. He beat Thiago Alves, who Sleeping Anthony loves. And Sleeping Anthony's back there somewhere on my bed. I don't know why. So I'm gonna pick John Fitch, but that could be a good one. Next up, we have a UFC debut of Jordan Radf. 5'7", 185-pound fighter. That's kind of short for middleweight, but he's 16-1. He's fighting Drew McFedries, who's fought twice in the UFC. He beat Alessio Sakar in a very good fight. He lost to Martin Kampman in a fight that you saw, getting choked out with the side choke. Same card as the Randy Couture and Sylvia fight. Alright, this breaks down pretty much as a ground fighter versus a stand-up fighter. McFedries is better on the feet. Radf is better on the ground. Both have McFedries has a ground game and Radf can stand, but they're definitely comfortable in different areas. So, what do you think?
Well, it was McFedries that got choked out, or he did the choke?
McFedries got choked out, yeah.
Like, we do have a UFC debut coming in, so like, the favor would be in the hands of the more experienced guy.
Yeah. So you're going with McFedries?
Yeah, sure.
Alright. I'm going to go with Drew. I mean, Jordan's a good fighter, but I just think he's too short for the weight division. And in the end, I think McFedries will keep him from being taken down. Next, we have Jason Black versus Thiago Tavares. This is going to be a lightweight fight, which is news to me because Jason Black used to fight at welterweight. Jason Black's making his debut, but he comes from the ever-talented Militich Fighting Systems camp, which has Matt Hughes, Tim Sylvia, Jens Pulver, Rich Franklin, and Jeremy Horner associated with it, etc., etc. He's fighting Thiago Tavares, who has had one fight in the UFC. Beat Katani, I have no idea how to say his first name, by decision not too long ago. Both guys like the ground. Tavares has got some decent stand-up. Black's got some decent stand-up. So it's a battle of two pretty well-rounded fighters. And Tavares, 15-0, very impressive. Jason Black, 22-2-1. So two very experienced fighters. Mm-hmm. What are you calling it, Chris?
I think we're going to go with Thiago.
You're going to go with Thiago? I'm very tempted to go with Thiago just because, you know, a man who hasn't been beaten before, I mean, that's hard to go against. But I'm very excited with the debut of Jason Black. I've seen him in some of the smaller shows and in Pride, and he looks like definitely like a UFC keeper. Next up we have Fort's The Meat Cleaver Pets versus Luigi Fioravanti, who you may remember from losing a very boring fight with Chris Lieben. It's not often you ever see Chris Lieben in a boring fight. In fact, it's probably the only time. But
well, which one is that?
It was a ways back. I don't think you saw it. It was a headline for a UFM card. But, you know, it was Chris Lieben fighting on the ground, which you don't see a lot of. Okay, we got Pets. Fioravanti, both like to stand. Both have some wrestling in their background. Fioravanti's a former Marine. Both are also coming off of losses. Pets lost to Kiyoshi Hironaka and Fioravanti for the previously mentioned John Fitch. Oh boy. So, I don't know, Chris, what do you think? Kind of a loser leaves UFC bet, I think. Possibly. Be their third loss for either of them.
I think I'm going to go with Pets.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Meat Cleaver. I don't know. Fioravanti, if he takes to the ground, can probably beat Pets, but I also think he's thick-headed and probably won't do it. Next, we have the nerd fighter, Tandon McCrory, who is described as Superman because he wears glasses and he's also incredibly gangly. At 6'4", fighting at welterweight. That's pretty big. And he's fighting Pete the Secret Weapon Spratt. I'll tell you what's not a secret about Pete Spratt. He has no ground game. He's been submitted 3 times in UFC. He has 3 wins by submission somehow, but they're all under weird circumstances except for the first one. Zach Lighty submitted legitimately. He's got a submission due to injury out of both Robbie Lawler and Jeremy Jackson. So, all right, I'm gonna break down. I haven't seen McCrory fight a lot, and honestly, no one I know has. So it's a tough call. Spratt, good stand-up, no ground game, no distinct wrestling. I don't know, Chris.
Well, if Spratt can keep it on his feet, he can do fine. But like McCrory has a good, decent game. From what you've seen?
I honestly have never seen him fight. He is the mystery of the card because I've never seen this guy. He's never been in a show I've been at. He's never been on TV as far as I can tell. I was looking down his record. I didn't recognize any opponents. He's undefeated, but he's beaten no one of note.
But I'm not too familiar with